All right, well, today we are reviewing whiskey. And this is personally one of my favorite brands and my favorite flavors of whiskey. So what are we reviewing? We're reviewing a Knob Creek straight rye whiskey. Some people call it whiskey rye, some people call it rye whiskey. I'll go with what's on the bottle. Doesn't say how many years this bottle has aged, it just says patiently aged, so I don't know the age, unfortunately. I don't really think there's another way to tell on this one. I know their standard whiskey is about 9 years. It's aged for about 9 years. That's what it looks like. Pretty good, as you can see. I'm halfway done with it. This is one of my favorite flavors, as I said. It's got a very good note to it. Not too strong, not too weak. Just the right amount, I think. My flavor for what I like whiskey neat. No water, no ice, nothing like that. Just doesn't really appeal to me all that much. But I do like a little bit stronger of a bite. I don't really like smooth as smooth can be. It's not really my style. Angel's Envy, if you've had that, is about the sweeter end of what I like. Angel's Envy is very good. Not a huge fan of Jack. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a smell and give you my impressions of the things that come to note. The smell is very reserved. It doesn't have a heavy whiskey smell. It's not that thick smell that you would get with something like Elijah Craig. Something like that would have a very thick smell. This is very light, citrusy. The alcohol doesn't really hit you too hard. The alcohol is definitely set, and even though this is 100 proof, so it's a little bit higher in the alcohol content. It's a little bit light colored, as you can see. It's not too bright either, but it's definitely not what I would consider dark. The bottle's not too dark either. I think this is a great value. I think if you wanted to pay a more expensive price like Blanton's or something like that, you'd be dealing with something that wouldn't taste nearly as good for the money, or maybe equally as good. I would say Blanton's is pretty good, but my God, is it too expensive, especially for the flavor. I think the only thing that I would maybe put down anywhere between like $70 to $100 is going to be Angel's Envy. I think that is going to be the specifically the whiskey rye that they have, because it's finished in a rum cask. It's very smooth without being too smooth. It's not it's flavorful and thick without being too saturated. Maybe I'll buy a bottle and do a review. It's sweet, but not like thick sweet. It doesn't smell artificially sweet. It just has this nice hint of smoothness to it, almost like sugar. Smooth going down, not too much of a bite going down. I do know that the single barrel Knob Creek has a little bit harder bite than this one does. It's not bad. I do like the harsher bite of the single barrel, but this one isn't bad. It doesn't burn until you swallow it at all. If you're swishing it around in your mouth, there's no bite in your mouth. It only hits you when you swallow, which is perfect. That's a characteristic that I really look for. I just like the way the rye smells. I think it's very good. I think it's very smooth. It's definitely on the higher end of the smells that I've smelled from different whiskeys. It's just the right amount. It's present. It lets you know what it is without being offensive, without shoving it in your face. It's a very reserved smell, and they're able to mask that alcohol very, very well. It's very smooth, very smooth going down. It doesn't burn. It's not fire. It's not sweet in a thick sense. It's sweet in a pie versus cake. Pie is sweet, but it's not that overly saturated fake sweet that you would taste on like a cake with frosting, stuff like that. It stays in your mouth. The roll off is very slow. Very very slow. It's not too offensive. It's not too excited in any particular way. It's just kind of a what you see is what you get with it. Very. It's not unique. It's completely ununique without at all being boring. It's not a boring flavor, but it's not an out there flavor either. It's something that you would reference as like a generic taste of good whiskey instead of just whiskey in general. So you'd say, this is a flavor of whiskey that is good. This is a good example of the spectrum of what's considered good whiskey, I would say. Good rye whiskey, good standard whiskey, maybe a little weak, I would say, in the flavor department. It's a little soft, but for a rye, it's pretty thick. It's very full-bodied. Doesn't really leave anything out. Doesn't offend the senses. Has this unique characteristic of being smoother the more you drink it. And I don't know if it's because your mouth kind of acclimates to the flavors and the intensity of it, or what it is. I mean, it must be that, because I know the whiskey itself isn't changing, but it's very, I don't know, it's a positive taste. It's a very reassuring kind of, gives your mouth a hug kind of taste. It warms you right behind the ears, at least for me. Tried to explain that to people. Nobody seems to quite understand what I mean by that. But it warms behind your ears. It's a blanketed, knitted hug is what it is, from grandma's knitting, that type of stuff. It's there's a little bit of citrus, but not too much. It's not citrusy like Glenfiddich scotches. That's a very citrusy kind of flavor. This isn't like that. This is different. This is more, what's the word? It's just a hint of citrus. It doesn't push it in your face. It's just kind of there in the background. It's something that you can kind of feel coming, but unless you were looking for it, it wouldn't be there. It's very good. It's very good. I guess if I were to rate it, I will rate it for the value. I think for the value, it is a 9 out of 10. There are things that I like more for the value, but this is pretty high up there. It's very good. It's very good. Yeah, I think that's everything that I have to say about this one. Anyways, my name is Josh. This has been One Man's Guide, and thank you very much for watching.